You're probably watching the ceiling fan because I said I could show you how to fix it in 15 seconds. Well, in reality, I don't really have to fix it at all. That's the beauty of this. But you got 15 seconds to figure out how to explain that to your wife or your girlfriend. Yeah. Now see, I'm in a lodge area and the ceiling's up pretty high. Okay? You see how this ceiling fan is on an extension pole. And it doesn't have any way to adjust it except for those pole chains. One of the pole chains will make the ceiling fan go one direction and the other pole chain will go high, medium, and low. And in the winter, I've got a nice fireplace here and it gets hot and stuffy in here. And they asked me, I came up here to spend some time with Steve and Julieta at their lodge at King Vale Lodge. You want to watch that video, it's really close to this one. KingValeLodge.com if you ever want to come up here. It's close to Donner Lake up towards Tahoe. You got to check that video out. They've got some rooms here to rent out in the summer and the winter. It's a very nice place, by the way. Okay, well, they had told me, hey, when you come up, can you help us fix this ceiling fan? It's on an extension pole, and that extension rod's maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. And they wanted to put a 1-foot extension on there, and I said, okay, I'll come up. And if I need to cut it, maybe I can cut that one. If I make it 18 inches or 2 feet or something like that, or I'll put the 1-foot extension on there. Why do you want it done? Well, they thought it was down too low. See, you've got lots of space from where the ceiling fan blades are up to the actual ceiling itself. And this room isn't a super huge room, but it's very nice and cozy in here, okay? And they thought that because of the stove in here, it just got too hot and stuffy. Well, I came up and they only had this ceiling fan on low or medium, and the blades weren't spinning as fast. So what's happening is when you have heat in here, you're not displacing the heat out properly if you don't have the blade going fast enough, especially for the height of this room above the ceiling fan blades. Does that make sense? See, this comes down at an angle down to here and on down. In the summer, you can turn this ceiling fan blade the opposite direction and it blows straight down. Now, because they have a couch right here, you probably have to put this on low if the wind bothers you coming straight down underneath the couch. Okay? So back to the ceiling fan dilemma. Do we put an extension on here or not? Well, I talked to them, discussed to them a fact. Hey, let's turn it on high. So we got it on high speed. And what that ends up doing ultimately, let me get out there, let me set this up. Okay. You're gonna have, what happens is the heat rises, okay? Then with the ceiling fan going this direction in the winter, not this direction. You go this direction in the summer and this direction in the winter. And there's a little button up there, little switch to turn it, and you can make it go whichever direction you want. Okay? The idea is in this room, the heat comes out of the fireplace and it goes up. If you have it directed properly, it's going to suck up from the ground and it's going to go up this way, and then the ceiling fan is going to take that air and push it up to the ceiling. Once it hits the ceiling, it's going to go across this way down the walls, and it's going to come back down, and then it's going to be sucked up here and back down, just like that. And that's how it works if you have the ceiling fan going the right direction. They did have the ceiling fan going the right direction, but they didn't have it going fast enough. So I turned it on high, okay? And once you turn it on high, because they have so much room for the ceiling fan blades up to the ceiling, it gives it just a little bit more suction, and then it blows it straight up into the ceiling. It hits the ceiling at enough speed to then come across, come back down, come over to the outside walls, okay? And then it comes back down this way, okay? So now they're circulating this air a little bit more, and because there's some rooms in here. See, you've got a hallway here. Because they didn't have the ceiling fan going fast enough, it wasn't blowing the air down fast enough to get out into different rooms. This room here, and then there's another room right off of the front door. Here's the front door. There's this other nice great room. Okay, they were always complaining in the winter that this was cold. This room was cold, and this room here by the fireplace was too hot. So I said, okay, let's turn this on high speed. Now, I'm standing over by the front door, okay? I can feel that coming down on top of my head. If you're sitting at the couch, you should feel it on the back side of your neck, because that's how this ceiling fan is supposed to work now. It's blowing enough air, and because it's doing that, kaboom, it's blowing air into this room. And now you can sit in this room and you can start feeling the heat from that. Okay, and here's another thing I told him. I said, you got a nice room here, and some of these windows have openable windows, okay? So you can prop that window open just a little bit, or you can prop one of these windows over here just a little bit. What I suggested to them is prop this window open, just crack it a little bit, and that's going to cause a suction. That once the air comes into this room from that other room, you're going to have the hot air coming in here. And if you have a window drawn open at the very opposite end, you're going to suck that hot air that direction. It's going to pull some of the cold air out of this room right outside, and you're going to bring in, almost like a siphon, you're going to bring in that hot air from the other room, and you're going to fill this room up with hot air. Okay? Because I have that ceiling fan turned on high now. Yeah, you thought this was going to be a short little video, a 15-second video or something, how to fix it in 15 seconds. It's taken me about 10 minutes to explain why, and if you're still here, I hope you're catching all of this, because now you don't have to fix that ceiling fan. You don't have to wonder what's going on with this ceiling fan, how come the ceiling fan's not working, and all that. And do I have to make a smaller extension? If I were to put an extension on there, that's really not going to achieve much. It might, in fact, be way up too high to the ceiling. This is more aesthetically pleasing to have it on an extension like that. Doesn't that look way nicer than having it sucked up? You had that a foot off the ceiling, you're going to think, what's the deal with that? How come they didn't extend it down? Just because it's not going to look right. Okay? Now here was the other thing. You might think, okay, in the middle of the winter, what if I prop that window open, 4 inches, let's say, crack that open 4 inches, 2 inches, 3 inches, whatever. Depending on how the weather is outside, if it's windy or something, maybe the wind is blowing in the wrong direction. You open up a window in the wrong direction, let's say, and you may start getting too much cold air into this room. So you're going to have to play around with it. Here's a window that is openable. Here's another one. This window here is fixed, so obviously you can't do anything with that. Now this one is openable, and this one's openable. So you got all kinds of different ways to try it out. And in fact, the weather here, generally the wind blows towards the north. And guess where the north is? It's that way. Okay, so the idea is if you open this up, you get some air blowing out, and the air outside is already going out that direction. You're going to cause more of a suction, and you're going to warm this room up right now. Granted, they have some air registers in the ceiling. There's one there, and there's another one over there above that window, and here's another one above this window. But that costs a lot of money to run this, and incidentally, because they're up high, guess where all the heat is going to stay? The heat is going to stay up high above your head, or at face level on up is where all your heat is going to stay. The cold air goes down to the floor, okay? It's going to stick around the floor. So how do you get that cold air out? You got a room like this, sometimes it's best to put your registers down on the floor. If you got a chance to do that, if you're doing a remodel, you're building a house, you might want to think about that. Talk to the architect, see if that's an option. Hey, what about putting the registers down at the floor? Because hot air rises. Guess what that means? It's going to come up this way, and you're going to get this room more fully heated, more centrally located that way, rather than have the registers up high. Okay? If you got your registers up high, and if that's your only option, that's fine. You got to have an air return somewhere. Here they got an air return right here in this little alcove area before you go up the stairs up to the loft. And so you get any hot air here, it's going to kind of pull across the room. That's why they have the registers over at the coldest portions of the room, which is above the windows. And those windows, incidentally, should be dual pane, double pane glass. If you got older windows, it's not going to work as much. You're still going to get a lot of cold air from there. You get new windows, they're all dual pane windows. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Some of this hot air is going to go up into the loft because hot air rises. Okay, so back to my ceiling fan. I think I'm pretty much done explaining everything on the ceiling fan. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was what else could you do? There's only two chains right there. One will turn it off and high, medium, and low speed, and the other chain, actually that other chain, what does that do? I guess the other chain might go off, or it turns it one direction or the other. Generally there's a little button on the side, and I'm thinking this one's got a button on the side. Can't even see it. Is there one right there? I don't think there is. This might be a different one where you have to pull that and it goes to the left, or you have to pull it goes to the right. And see over here at the wall switch, there's only a switch. This is on and off. Okay, there's no adjustment for speeds here. You can't just put that in if it's not hooked up to your ceiling fan. And there's no light kit on here too. Most ceiling fans, if see the bottom of that housing right there, you could take that bottom of the ceiling fan off and you can get a light kit for that. But they didn't need a light kit because they got nice eyeball lights up in the ceiling, which is nice. There's a nice directional light to shine right over there. So that's what they did with that. Okay, they even got some heating registers in here. Not quite sure what the deal with that is, but they don't really need those in this room when you got this nice fireplace in here. But there's one more thing I want to tell you about this ceiling fan. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.